What up, what up, what up, what up? This is not a podcast. It's just my thoughts with Rob Markman. You already know what it is. Been a busy week, had a lot to talk about. I want to shout out y'all because y'all been showing up, man. The views are nice, but more importantly than that, again, I really value the comment section. I value our conversation. Um, I just value the back and forth, even when we don't agree on things. As long as we're respectful, man, and we're not being like over the top with it. I think we could really see each other's point of view. So I appreciate y'all. Um, I know that Wayne dropped a video addressing the Super Bowl. A lot of y'all probably want to hear about that. Uh, I'll get to it. I'll get to it. I wanted to do this first though. This was something that I wanted to do. Um, Today is one of those strange days, one of those eerie anniversaries that bring about sadness and frustration, but also good memories, right? So September 13th, 1996 is the day that Tupac passed. All right. He was shot 6 days earlier in Vegas after the Tyson fight. We know the story. He was shot for 6 days and he was in the hospital. But he was shot on September 7th and he passed away on September 13th. Uh, and I remember what that was like. I was young. I was probably like 16 at the time, in high school, and thought Pop was gonna live, cause man, it's Pop, man. He always getting shot. He gonna pull through. Like we really thought Pop was invincible. So to get that news was tough. September 13th, 1994 is also the day the Notorious B.I.G. dropped his classic album Ready to Die. It's 30th anniversary. It's a big anniversary. And we all know Big's life was cut short on March 9th, 1997. So today I wanted to do my second What If episode. If y'all tuned into the channel a couple weeks ago, I did a What If episode. This is where I take the concept from Marvel Comics. Somebody accused me of stealing this concept from them. No, I didn't steal it from you. I'm a big comic book fan. I took it from Marvel Comics. This is not a Rob Markman original. Nobody owns this. I took the concept from Marvel Comics. And where I apply like a bit of fantasy to our reality. So if you were on the channel a couple weeks ago, I did an episode on what if Nas would have signed to Murder Inc. because that was a real thing that almost happened. And just pondering, like, there's no way to know. So these are more like fun episodes, right? And I want to have conversation with y'all in the comments, and I want to hear y'all what ifs. Today I want to talk about what if Big hadn't passed away. What if Pac hadn't passed away? What are some of the things that we could have seen them do and accomplish? Because both of these guys were GOATs and they were super young. I know a lot of people kind of dispute that. Like we was calling Big the king of New York before Big passed. Like Pac was prolific before he passed. Both of these guys were GOATs. They were at the top of the game, top rappers, and they passed away super young. Pac was 25 when he passed away. Think about that. Big was 24 when he passed away. Think about that. Think about your favorite rappers now and think about their age. Pac was 25, Big was 24. That's crazy. Just for a little bit of context, I was a fan of both. Surprise, surprise. They'd be like, Rob's a fan of everything. I was actually a fan of both. I'm from Brooklyn, so I was a big fan for sure. Like absolutely 1,000% a big fan. I remember buying his album from Beat Street in Brooklyn on Fulton. Back in the day, that's when Beat Street was 4 floors. And Beat Street, they sold washing machines, refrigerators, different appliances. And you had to walk up all the way to the 4th floor to get to where the records were. And they had a sale, a Big Mac sale, right? Bad Boys' two first artists were Craig Mack and Big. And they both dropped their debut albums in 1994, about a month apart, maybe 2 months apart. And Beat Street had them 2 for $20. It was the Big Mac sale where you get both CDs, both Big, Ready to Die, Craig Mack, Project Funk the World for $20. Back in '94, like 2 CDs for $20, $10 a piece was like a steal. So I remember copping that from Beat Street. I was a Pac fan too. The first Pac album I copped, I didn't cop Tupacalypse Now. I hadn't been like buying CDs yet. I think that came out in 91. I wasn't like buying music yet. The first music I actually went to buy, first rap music, was Criss Cross and the Scenario single. That was in 92. But first Pac album I caught was strictly for my went to the movies to see Juice, like all of that. Like I was a big Pac fan. Like it wasn't this East Coast, West Coast thing. Like Pac, like, I mean, he was in Juice. He was Bishop in Juice. Like, and he was in New York all the time because he was filming the movie. He was hanging out in New York. Like, it felt like he was one of ours. There wasn't no distinction. We ain't look at him like, oh, that's a Cali artist. We not fucking with him. Nah, New York fuck with Pac. Keep Your Head Up played on the radio all day. I Get Around played on the radio all day. Strictly for Mile was a big album. Holla If You Hear Me is one of my favorite Pac songs. That had Papa songs on it, Five Deadly Venoms. Like, that's a dope Pac album that a lot of people don't talk about. So I was a fan of both. And then when the whole beef started, I was about 15 at the time. Again, 15, 16. So I'm confused. And I always talk about it on the channel. If you listen, and if you're here for a long time, I always talk about how it's like, I don't take sides in rap beefs like that. Of course, I have my favorite, but I'm a fan at the end of the day. Like, I don't get money with any of them. Like none of these rappers is helping my mom with the groceries, like bringing the groceries, you know what I'm saying, to the front door, nothing like that. Like, it's not that serious. Like, but obviously we're fans. But again, I'm young at the time, so when it jumps off, I'm like, nah, I'm from Brooklyn. It's big all day. Even though I had Pac CDs in my house already, nah, it's big all day. I was still a Pac fan. I was just disappointed in how he was coming at Big, because Pac was the aggressor and Big just kept trying to downplay it. So I just fell into that. Like, damn, why he going that Big like that? Yo, I thought that was his man. Like, Big ain't had nothing to do with the shooting. Like, you just get into all of that. But it really happened so quickly between the beef jumping off, the diss records hit him up, and then, Pac dies. Like, it wasn't that long in between there and it becomes sobering. But I never thought any of them would die. When Pac got shot in Vegas, I thought he'd make it. And then I figured Big would be all right after Pac died, because everyone knew Big ain't had nothing to do with Pac dying. That's how we felt. But, obviously, Big's murder was over something else entirely. I don't think they were related at all. So boom, that's just the context of where I was at with it. I don't want to spend too much time on this episode, and I don't want to bring it down. I want to have fun with it though. Okay, so what if Big hadn't passed away, right? Here's some of the things that he would have done, or that just would have been incredible, or would have, I would have liked to see him do, right? And I'm just gonna list some of them off, and then in the comments y'all can list off like things that you think Big would have accomplished or things you would have liked to see him do. But first of all, the commission. The commission. Jay said it when he featured on Pusha's T, Neck and Wrist. He said they like, if Big was alive, Hov wouldn't be in this position. If Big had survived, y'all would have got the commission. Now, I think most of you know, but I look at my demographics and my analytics, and I see a lot of folks who tune into this channel are also on the younger side. So I respect that. So for those who don't know, before Big died, he and Jay talked about putting together a super group called the Commission. Not dissimilar from Nas did something called The Firm. It was Nas, AZ, Foxy Brown. Core Mega was an original member. Nature was in there. Nori was like not an official member of The Firm, but like a Firm affiliate. Like, so if you listen to that Firm album, Dr. Dre produced on it, Trapmasters produced on it. So Big and Jay were talking about putting together the Commission. And so that would have been Jay, Big, Diddy, Lil C's, and Charlie Baltimore, who Big was dating at the time, but she was pivoting into a rap career. If you listen to Big's record, What Was Beef, on his second album, Life After Death, at the very beginning of the record, he shouts out the Commission. Also, Lance Rivera, I think, was a part of it. But to me, I didn't know Lance to have musical talent. Not like, he didn't rap. He wasn't like really a producer, but Lance was a part of it somehow. So this might have been on Big's Undias label. We'll talk about that a little later. But the bottom line is this. Biggie and Jay in a group together would be crazy. So if Big wouldn't have died, y'all would have got the Commission. That's from Jay's. Jay said that. Like, just imagine the Commission. That'd have been crazy. Another thing I want to talk about was production, because Big was so dope. Big skated on all different types of beats. Like, Big could go on a Premier beat, DJ Premier, and he could do Track Masters, he could do Easy Mo B, the underground hip hop stuff, like the Easy Mo B, the DJ Premier stuff, and then going for the Track Masters, like the One More Chances. I don't know if Track Masters did One More Chance, but they did Juicy. Shout out to Pete Rock though. Um, you know, just him doing the more radio friendly stuff and the more underground kind of boom bap stuff. Like Big can dance on either one of those, right? But he really showed his versatility on the second album when he did Notorious Thugs. Stevie J produced that, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong. Keep me honest in the comments. But Notorious Thugs, and just the bounce on that was different when he used Bone Thugs flow. So that just showed that Big was thinking bigger than just back then how a New York rapper was supposed to rap. Like, so he took they flow. Armed and Dangerous, ain't too many gonna bang with us. You know what I'm saying? Like Big, his frequency was different. He was willing to kind of stretch the boundaries of what he would do. So that brings me to the production. Big passed away right before the rise of Timbaland, Neptunes, and a couple of years after that, Kanye West, right? So imagine Big on a Timbaland beat is basically what I'm getting at. Imagine what Big would have done to a Timbaland beat, and he absolutely would have hopped on Timbaland production. You gotta think about it. This is around the time Timbaland is starting to bubble with Aaliyah and Missy. You know what I'm saying? 1 in a Million came out in 1996, so that was before Big passed. Timbaland's making noise with Aaliyah and Missy. Big and Aaliyah were locked in. They were tied in. Aaliyah appeared on the Junior Mafia album, so she had a feature on the Junior Mafia album. Aaliyah was in the One More Chance video. Like, so Big and Aaliyah were they knew each other. They ran in the same circle, and then Missy was already working with Bad Boy. So Missy, a lot of people don't know, Missy worked on All About the Benjamins. She helped, like, I guess vocally produce. She basically, I once interviewed Sheik, and Sheik has talked about it on a bunch, Sheik from the Lots, on a bunch of different interviews. But Missy kind of helped decided who went where, which verses went where. You know what I'm saying? And how to stack the verses on Benjamin. And then she did the Gina Thompson remix, and that was a Bad Boy remix, The Things You Do. So Missy was in that circle. Aaliyah and Big were connected. Big and Timbaland definitely would have got a couple of joints in, and that would have sounded, I don't know what that would have sounded like, because Timbaland sounded like nothing that we had ever heard up until that point. Then we see the rise of the Neptunes, Pharrell and Chad, and they were locked in. They produced on one of their early placements as the Neptunes, if not their first, was on Mace's album, on Harlem World, Looking at Me. Neptunes did that beat. So they already tapped in with somebody at Bad Boy and getting beats to Bad Boy artists. Big would have definitely got busy on the Neptunes joint. They would have wanted to work with him. They became some of the biggest producers of the 2000s. Big would have wanted to work with them. That'd have been crazy. And then Kanye West is third on my list. Kanye West started emerging more in 2000, 2001, but I'm talking about soul sample era Kanye West. You know what I mean? Like, dog, what would that have sounded like? Like Big and Ye. And again, Jay and Big's connection, like Big on some of them early Kanye West beats, like Blueprint type beats, would have been crazy. And another thing I always felt is Jay-Z's PSA beat, produced by Just Blaze. Clearly, Jay destroyed that. That beat was meant for Jay. Jay killed it. But every time I heard that beat, even when I first heard that beat in 2004, and actually that beat was kind of from an OC interlude in 94, but when Jay used it in, not 2004, maybe 2003 on the Black Album, I heard Big on it. Like, I'm like, yo, I could just hear Big on it. I'm not saying PSA would have went to Big, or maybe we could have gotten a Big freestyle out of that or something. So just production-wise, like, just imagine Big over the Neptunes, Timbaland, Kanye West. If he had lived, he missed the rise of those. I think that would have been some incredible timeless music. Barclays, that's next on my list. First event ever to be held at the Barclays Center was a Jay-Z concert. It was on September 28, 2012. I was there that night. The arena's on Atlantic Avenue in Brooklyn. That's maybe about a 10, 15-minute walk from where Big grew up on St. James. I remember being at that very first show thinking, like, damn, like getting chills almost, like, damn, Big was supposed to be here. There were rumors, too, at the time, for those that remember, if Jay would do like a hologram of Big, similar to how they did a hologram of Pac at Coachella, but that never happened. As you're filing in, before Jay gets on, before any artist gets on stage, Mr. C was DJing, warming the crowd up, and he played Juicy, and the whole arena went word for word. I've said this before. I think Juicy, I think it was all a dream. Like Juicy is just like everybody knows the words to Juicy. I said this. Whoever thought that hip hop would take this far might be the best hip hop lyric of all time. But Juicy as a song is ubiquitous. I feel anywhere I've been in the world, you could throw on Juicy, and everybody knows the words. Everybody knows it was all a dream. I used to read Word Up magazine, so Mr. C played that, and everybody rapping that at the top of their lungs, like the building like shook. And in the rafters of the Barclays, there's a banner celebrating Biggie hung up, like how sports teams celebrate championships. There's a Biggie banner hung up. So that whole concert was one of the best concerts I've ever been to. Jay-Z sold out 8 nights. I went to about 3 or 4 of those concerts. But that first one was one of the best concerts I've ever been to. He brought out Big Daddy Kane. But I always remember thinking, like, Big was supposed to be here. Like, Big was supposed to see this. Like, to have, like, back then, rappers would dream of performing in Madison Square Garden in New York City if you were from New York. But imagine being from Brooklyn and basically having Madison Square Garden down the block from your house. Like, Big was supposed to be there. His own label. Big had his own label. Big, before he passed, he was already looking to be more than an artist. He was looking to be an executive. There were talks of him trying to get off a Bad Boy altogether. But you got to look at Big from early on. Like 94, he gave us Ready to Die. 95, he brought us Junior Mafia. He was already giving us artists 1 year into his career. He was thinking executive like. And those guys weren't rappers. Like C's and them, C says it all the time. They wasn't rappers. Big wrote so much of the Junior Mafia album, penned their verses. Like, he made them into artists. He brought us Junior Mafia. He brought us Lil' Kim. And the reality was, a lot of people think they were signed to Bad Boy. The reality was, Kim technically wasn't signed to Bad Boy. She was on Atlantic. Big had a separate deal for his group that had nothing to do with Bad Boy contractually. They were part of the Bad Boy family. They used to tour together. They did concerts. They all rolled together. But contractually, Lil' Kim was something else. You know what I'm saying? So Big was already like exercising this executive, this business mind of, I need my own. You know what I mean? And there was talks that he was just trying to get out of his Bad Boy contract. But whether he would have stayed on Bad Boy as an artist or not, he already set up his own label outside of Bad Boy. Big had the Undias label with him and and he was working on signing Cameron. He didn't sign Cameron when he was alive, but he had said, yo, I'm about to sign you. Big had died, and just carried on Big's wishes and signed Cameron to his first record deal. Mace brought Cameron to Big. Cameron for Big. Big said, I'm going to sign you. The signing never happened. Big died before the signing could happen, and Undias just continued with Big's wishes. But Big was ready to sign Cam before he passed. Then he, of course, signed Charlie Baltimore. So Big definitely had an eye for talent and was thinking bigger business than just being an artist. And this is just after one album. This is before Life After Death even drops. So, just think about the other talent that Big would have brought into the game. Moving on to Pac a little bit, man. I'm going to speed this up. I don't want to spend so much time here, but I just want to have fun with it. There would have been East Coast collaborations with Pac, whether it was Death Row East or his One Nation album with the Boot Camp Clique, Buckshot and them. Pac would have definitely tried to build some bridge with the East Coast after things got out of hand. It showed that he didn't really want to burn the whole thing down. Like, I think there would have been, and I think in the name of peace, I think Pac would have wanted to show, like, nah, my problem is just with one camp or one person. Like, I'm not trying. I don't think he was trying to cause the division that got caused, right? And that brings me to my next point, is that I think he would have pieced it up with Big. I think he would have pieced it up. I would like to think that he would have pieced it up. Big and Pac would have pieced it up in my reality, in my what if, right? The truth is, Big had nothing to do with the quad shooting. I believe in his heart, Pac knew Big had nothing to do with the quad shooting. And I don't know if they would have been best friends like they were. They were close before that. I don't think it would have gotten back to that, but I think they would have figured out how to resolve it. and not let the other outside factors and influences kind of stir shit up. I think Pop would have realized like, yo, this is going down a bad road. Um, Tupac's acting, I think he would have continued to excel as an actor. I feel like he would have continued to take it seriously. I think he would have gotten his respect in the acting world. Like I could see, like imagine like a Tupac and a Denzel on screen or something like that. Like just the emotion, the powerful exchange. Like, I think we would have got a moment like that. I think we'd have got some cool films, and I think he could have actually went on to direct films too, and maybe documentaries first and foremost. Like imagine like a Black Panther doc through the eyes of Tupac. Like I think we'd have got some cool films from Pop, man, because he seemed to really, really have a passion for that. I think he would have left Death Row eventually and went independent. Again, there's a what if. We have no way of knowing. It's a stretch. And I don't know how ironclad that Death Row contract was, right? The talk is that it was written on a piece of paper. But he did have a dope relationship with Master P. Pac and P had a dope relationship too. And I think P could have given Pac the game business-wise. Kind of like how P did with Snoop. Also, Pac has deep ties to the Bay, and the Bay is known for independence. I think Pac would have probably searched for independence and how to build this independently. Especially how prolific he was, how much music he released, how much, like how much he recorded. Like you just look at how much stuff was left. Now, I can't really talk about, it's a little different from Big. Like Pac left a lot of music, so you can kind of see where his head was at. And he had a whole bunch of releases after he left. But I don't know if I see Pac with Timbaland like Big, or Pac with the Neptunes, or Pac, maybe Pac and Kanye. I might could see Pac with Kanye, but Pac was kind of isolated. Pac just kind of kept to himself. Like he didn't branch out and kind of work with everybody in the same way. He didn't go for like the hot producers at the time or whatever. He just had his stable of producers and his sound that he worked with. Though I could have seen Pac and Kanye at some point. Jail. Now look, technically I don't want to dwell on the negative. Pac was out on bond from the sexual assault case, so there's a chance he could have ended up back in jail. I don't want to focus on the negative shit. That is a reality. The same way you have to wonder if Big would have got caught up in any of Puffy shit. We don't know. I just wanted to have fun with this here. I just want to know what y'all think. Just want to have this conversation, man. What if Big and Pac had lived? What are y'all predictions? Let me know in the comments, all right? Peace.